Hey guys, I'm Mark,
I'm Alen.
and welcome to another episode of The Next Man Up. Hey friend, how's it going, buddy?
Doing good, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, bud.
I'm good. I'm a little nervous, though. I got to admit.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous about this topic that we're going to get into today.
Yes.
Are you too? A little bit, maybe, or is it just me?
Yes. Yes, I am. I am a little nervous because everything is just so, I don't know, pins and needles.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about it, and so I'm not afraid to talk about it. I just hope people hear our hearts.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what reactions, what engagement we get back from this one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So have we teased it enough for?
I think we have. Everybody's like, I just, in my mind, I saw like hatchets and machetes coming out of people's like closets, like, oh, we all get them.
So here it is.
Yes, sir.
I came across an article the other day that said this: the University of Texas to treat masculinity as a mental health issue. And I knew I'm hooked. I got to read this article.
Yeah.
So if you peel back the article a little bit, of course, the title was intended to create some engagement, right?
Bravo.
It got me to click. And in the show notes, I will put a link to this article so that reader or listeners can go actually read it. But let me just, for the benefit of our listeners, give a couple of things that read a couple of things from this article. So the University of Texas at Austin recently launched a new program to help male students take control over their gender identity and develop a healthy sense of masculinity. Basically, they are encouraging students to develop a healthy model of masculinity. And final quote here: the program argues that men suffer when they are told to act like a man, or when they are encouraged to fulfill traditional gender roles, such as being successful or the breadwinner. What was when you first read this article, what was your initial reaction?
Well, at first, I think it's really easy to focus in on, the phrase, masculinity is a mental health issue.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, hold on, back up, because like now you're targeting who I am.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this is something I've worked at. And so at first I was like, oh man, dude, these people are stupid. It's like, this is what we're doing.
Here we go again.
Here we go. Like, just let's knock out like men and whatever. And it was easy to start getting mad. But, I've been taught to catch what someone is throwing at you and to really examine it. And so I started looking into it. It's kind of like the first email you write when you're angry.
Right.
Like, it's like 2 pages long with every profanity in it as possible and everything you're going to do. And then by the time you revise the 10th one, it's this really nice letter.
Right. Like, thank you.
Yeah. It boils down to, I appreciate you.
Yes. Yes.
And so, I kept rereading it. And the more and more I read it, it was like, oh, I think I understand what you're trying to say. I just don't feel you came across well in conveying it. I don't think masculinity is a mental health issue. What I do feel is an issue is the picture that our society has painted of what a man should be. Mm. And I think that's what they're trying to get to.
Yeah.
This idea of like, violent, being violent, abrasive all the time. I think somewhere in this article, they said, though you might enjoy taking care of, they're talking about attributes of a man. underneath the successful or breadwinner part, they say, though you might enjoy taking care of people or being active, MasculinUT warns that many of these attributes are actually dangerous. And so there's this idea of like, well, what is dangerous about being a man? It's
Right.
like, well, no, there are some things that have been allowed to go on in our culture, in our society, when it comes to men that are dangerous.
Yeah.
Like sexual assault is dangerous.
That's right.
You know, it's not cool. Like, you know, and it's harmful. It's hurtful. This idea that you have to step over people to become successful, like step on everyone, even like your best friend, your family, so you can attain what you've been like, you know, going for in life. That's a man. It's like, that's dangerous.
That is dangerous. That's right.
Dangerous thought process, you know? And so I can see why they would say it would be a mental health issue. But my friend, masculinity is not a mental health issue.
It's not.
It's the picture that that we have allowed in society to be painted as to what a man should be. That is a real issue, you know?
Yeah, so my reaction was very similar to yours. In fact, I would go so far as to say I was ready to just dismiss this as more politically correct, illogical nonsense, and coming from the academia world, which we don't need to be political here, but it's just very liberal. It's just very liberal on the spectrum. So I was just ready to discount it. Like, here they go again. Yeah. One more piece of propaganda that just makes no sense. And then, like you, I started to look into this a little deeper, and I got to agree, in some respects, I have to agree that we have an unhealthy cultural definition, stereotype of masculinity.
Totally. Like, it breaks my heart when you, I mean, it's like pulling back the covers and finding all these sorts of bugs. Like, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, like, what are we doing? And it's not a good picture. So, you know, for them to speak out on that, for this University of Texas to speak out and try to do something for it, bravo. Like, my hat's off to you and whatever. But man, whether it's them or, like, you know, I think our whole culture, we got to be careful of how we're approaching like this issue. Like, we have to actually aim right at the issue. Like, for instance, you know, and, you know, some people might get upset with me. I'm like, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? You know, the issues, the issue in some inner cities is, it's not black people. Like, you know what I mean? You can't just like aim and point the gun at black people and say you're the problem. No, there's issues that we really need to pay attention to. We do need to pay attention to poverty. We do need to pay attention to drug use and gun violence. We do need to pay attention to those things. But you know, when we aim it at a certain person and say like they're the problem, that's dangerous, man. That's hurtful.
You mean like a labeling a group of people and
not all men are sexual have committed sexual assaults.
Right.
Not all men think that you have to step over somebody to become successful. Not all men think that women are beneath them. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like, like, so you can't just point it at a group of people and say you're the problem. Like, and say that the way that who we are, we have mental health issues. That's not the case. Now, characteristics that are portrayed through men in our society, like, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's an issue that we need to fix, you know? And starting with ourselves. Like, for me, I think, like, yo, I need to fix this in me. You know, what's going on with me that makes me seem like I'm just a punk of a man. And I'm not a man. Like, you know what I mean? If you're doing all those things, to me, I'm thinking you're not a real man. You know, that's not what a man is. It's not who a man is. And we need to let that ring out in society. But, like, look, you can't just grab a whole group of guys and be like, oh, you men, there's something wrong with you mentally.
Right.
Like, no, there ain't nothing wrong with me mentally. You know?
Yeah, like
I hope that came out right.
I know I hear what you're saying. Your heart is don't just let's
Don't
use this
judge
analogy.
me.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Right? The symptom is we have this cultural construct of masculinity that is about power and dominate and authority and control, and there's a better way.
Yeah.
There's a better definition and a better target that we need to aim for. The problem isn't gender. The problem is that we've pointed the male gender towards something that carried out too far becomes dangerous, destructive, unhealthy.
Yeah.
Right? I
Yeah.
think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And it's not like, and honestly, it seems like this University of Texas has actually retracted. They went back, and I think they're trying to understand masculinity a little even better. Which it takes people really digging in and really trying to figure out like what it is and how can we, like they said, like how can we have healthy men in our society and not just people who go after this picture that is totally not correct.
Right.
And so if you dig in the article, there's actually a link to the university site, and they actually say that they have pulled the program and that they're currently reviewing it to try to make it better. And they're not looking at masculinity as a mental health issue, but they are going and trying to better the men of their culture and their society. Like these young men who go to this college are like, look, we want you to be better men, and so how can we help you do that? That's a whole different approach than the article first comes at you. I got the picture in my head is all guys just rise up in Texas and go, oh no man, we are not mentally challenged. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And I don't think that's what they really wanted, and they saw that and they pulled it back. But
well, I got to imagine the two of us are not the only ones that had this visceral reaction. You cannot say that masculinity is a mental health issue. That does not help the problem. Let's recognize that there is a problem. Let's not try to treat a symptom. Let's get to the cause and to the root of the problem.
The core of it, yeah.
But labeling just masculinity as a mental health, it's not helpful.
I'm telling you, I literally, I'm Haitian American, I'm Black, and I mean that's the first thing I thought of was that's like you saying. Like just because I live in an area that has a lot of like issues and problems that I, as a Black man, I'm just part of it. Like you just throwing me in there, and that's wrong. That's totally wrong.
Yeah.
And as a man, I feel offended.
Yeah.
It offended me to hear that. Oh, you think I have a mental health issue? Like it's not what my wife says. It's not what my daughters are saying. It's not what my friends are saying.
Right.
And my people at work or whatever. That's not what they're saying about me. Actually, they say I'm an inspiring guy. They say that I have character, and it's not because I just woke up one day and decided to be that type of a person.
Just turn it on.
You know what I mean? It's because it's been being worked on for
the process.
My life that I've been on this planet, and I hope to be even a better man 20 years down the road. I'm off my soapbox now. That just really rattled me. It's not a mental health issue. I don't think so. And I don't have a PhD in this, but I'm going by life experience, and it's not a mental health issue. I think it's a definite problem of the picture that we have, that we hold up for our young boys and us men to go after. That's the problem.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is probably a ripple effect of the whole Me Too movement, where organizations, in this case a college, is taking a look at what's happening in their community. Yeah. And boy, it doesn't take long to find stories of destructive male hypermasculine behavior happening on campus, right? Those are unfortunately all too easy to find.
Totally.
And so the discussion that's being had nationally, even globally, as a result of the hashtag Me Too movement, I think is probably what's maybe heightened some of the interest in this subject at the University of Texas, Austin. But this isn't the solution.
No,
To label this as a mental health issue, and to your point, they appear to have walked that back a little bit.
Yeah.
And maybe this was the article writer trying to be a little bit controversial. It certainly got our attention.
Yeah.
But I think this is a ripple effect of the culture saying enough.
Yeah.
Enough. There are enough idiot guys out there doing destructive behavior that often presents to women. Women become the victims many times, not
Sad,
exclusively,
not
but they
cool.
become the victims here. And people are saying enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
And we do need to hear that. We do need to hear our society crying enough, but our approach to the problem, we got to use our brains on this.
So the other thought that's rolling through my mind is, for quite a while, culturally, it's been unacceptable for men to be offended. And you see the world, because of your skin color, you see the world through a different lens that I do. But often it's been unacceptable for men to be offended. Women can be offended. Minorities can be offended. Men can't be offended. And I think in this situation, I'm offended.
Yeah.
If this really is the proposal to look at male gender and masculinity and just throw it into this category of it is a mental health problem, which again, they've walked back from that. But I just feel offended, and I'm not sure even how to voice that offense, because culturally...
Start a podcast. You start a podcast. You say
what a great idea. Why didn't you think of that?
That's it, man. Well, I think we can voice it. Because guess what? Before this article came out, I woke up as Alen.
Yeah.
And guess what? Tonight I'm going to go to sleep, and tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up as Alen.
Yeah.
And Alen is a man of a different stature than most. And I'm going to continue to press into that man. I'm going to continue to be a man who loves well, who presses for truth. I'm going to continue to be a man who wants to be a responsible person in this society. I want to be a man who gives. I want to be a man who takes less. I'm going to wake up every morning as this man, and I'm going to press into it more and more. And I think that's how we voice it. We show I don't know what picture that you have for what a man should be, but whatever picture you have, I don't agree with. And I'm going to show it by the way that I live.
Yeah.
I'm going to show it by the way that I talk. I'm going to show it by the way that my life rolls out in front of you. I think that's the greatest herald. It's the greatest messenger, is just you just living. You know what I'm saying? I was kidding around about the podcast part, but we are, in a sense, this is part of what we're doing.
This is our pushback.
This is our pushback. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Be the change that you want to be." I know Barack Obama took that. President Barack Obama took that, and other people have taken it. But I want to see change in the way that men live in this world. And the way that I'm doing that is I'm living up to the standard that I feel like should be the standard of manhood. You know what I mean? I'm going to live that and I'm going to speak that. I'm going to do things like I'm going to do Next Man Up events as much as I can. I'm going to do podcasts as much as I can. I'm going to raise my son. I'm going to teach my daughters to go after a real man. You know what I mean? I'm going to be a real man husband to my wife, my spouse, my friend. You know what I mean? I'm going to go into schools and I'm going to, you know what I mean? I'm just going to do it all that I can from this very position that I have on this earth. And I think that'll speak louder than my pitchfork.
I'm getting goosebumps just listening to you. Like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I want what you've got. You know, I want that desire. I want that pushback, that protest, that influence to be how I live my life.
Yeah, man.
And I'm not even going to try to say it better than you did, because that was fantastic. It's so inspirational. And we have a platform. We have a voice. I think part of what struck me with this article is it highlights the importance of what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
You know, both as individual men, fathers, husbands, but also in this conversation, in this work that we're doing, it just highlights all the more reason that we need that example, that ideal to lean up, to line up against, or to reach for. Because the ideal that we have today, the dumb, brute, power hungry, whatever, that bar is not set high enough.
No.
And that's way too low. It's way too underwhelming. In fact, it's extremely harmful and dangerous and destructive when carried out too far. I want to reach higher.
Yeah.
And I want people culturally to realize we can be more. We can reach higher. And here are some of the ways that we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Woo.
You know, it just highlights for me the urgency about helping this next generation of boys to reach for something greater,
Way greater
than just the cultural message of masculinity.
Yeah.
It's not enough. It's not enough. And you know, we're going to do our part to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%, man.
All right. Thanks,
Dude,
buddy.
Good to see you again, Mark.
You too, listeners. We'll catch you next episode.
All right.
Hey, listeners, thanks for journeying with us on this Next Man Up podcast. You know, we would love to hear from you. Maybe you have a question or an idea, perhaps a topic for us to consider. If that's you and you want to reach out to us, you can get us at feedback@thenextmanup.com. That's feedback@thenextmanup.com. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you later.